Hi everyone, again my name is Stephen Hobaica. I'm in the clinical psychology program. My specific research interests focus on inclusion in school curricula and how that can positively affect minority students in the classroom. So specifically with this project, I was interested in sexual minorities, which is a fancy term for anyone that's not heterosexual, so lesbian, gay, bisexual individuals, for example. It's a long list that I can't list all today. In heteronormative sex education, so their experiences within that environment. When I say heteronormative sex education, I'm referring to a sex education environment that's only geared towards heterosexual students, therefore excluding all other students in the classroom. So to study this, I did a qualitative project where I interviewed a bunch of sexual minorities here in Pullman. I coded all of their responses and I came up with a grounded theory of what's happening in the classroom and also what should be happening in the classroom to include all students. My participants did describe experiencing a heteronormative sex education environment, which they reported gaining very insufficient and sometimes stigmatizing knowledge about their sexual identities. And they also described that this type of knowledge actually contributed to a bunch of negative consequences for them. So things like risky sexual behaviors, like performing sexually without the use of condoms, sexual hesitance, sexual violence, and also internalized stigma and self-blame and shame about their identities when they left the classroom after being excluded. They also described that these types of consequences actually contributed to a bunch of poor health outcomes as well, which are increased in this population. So things like depression, anxiety, and suicidality, but also things like STDs, so physical health outcomes as well. They also described, because of this exclusive environment, that they needed to seek out their own education because they didn't get it at home, they also didn't get it in the classroom. So they self-educated by going to college, reading books, going online, talking with other queer people, and also engaging in trial and error sexual experiences, which sometimes had very, very terrible consequences on their health. So they did describe what a more inclusive sex education environment would look like, which would basically be really easy to do and implement. It would make everyone visible and normalized, and it would also contain accurate and applicable information for every student in the classroom. They described that this type of environment would actually contribute to a bunch of positive consequences for these people, such as safe sexual behaviors, healthy relationships that are consensual, a sense of community within the classroom, general resilience, and also confident identities moving forward with that minority identity. And that with these consequences, we could expect a bunch of improved health outcomes both physically and psychologically for a very vulnerable community. This project does not argue for a cause and effect relationship, but rather argues for more research to be done to better explore what's happening in the classroom and how we can best include all students, regardless of their sexual identity. Thank you.